Hey there. Welcome back to my channel. I literally just wanted to do a spin. I hope you guys are doing okay. I hope you guys are having a great day. Today's video, I wanted to talk about something that I've just watched with my mom. It's a documentary through the BBC with this reporter called Louis Theroux. And it's basically talking about so he is, because it's the BBC, he's British, but he wanted to go to America and basically show us a version of the right-wing culture that's there. And I watch a lot of people who are right-wing and left-wing and moderate, so I kind of know, I don't know everything about what they stand for, but I know kind of like the stereotypes, and I know a lot of the hurdles that they jump to, like, not be called certain names or be called certain names. And I was very bemused, but at the same time not shocked at all by the things that the documentary was showing. My mum was shocked because I watched it with her, because I don't think she watches a lot of American culture when it comes to right wing and left wing. So she was more shocked than I was when I was just like, this is typical. This is so typical. This is what they always say. I was giving it all that because, I've watched that kind of thing before. So the reason why I'm making this video is because I wanted to basically show my feelings about it, about the right-wing culture. So if you look at the description of my video and also kind of what I've spoke about in other videos, I'm very pro middle ground and very pro anyone should say pretty much anything as long as if it's not causing violence to any individual. So you can say whatever you want, just long if you're not saying you should harm this person or I'm going to harm this person who wants to join me, kind of thing, because that's like an attack. That's not just words, that's action. So I am very pro say whatever you want as long as there's no actions, but at the same time I'm very with most of my stances, I would say I'm very much old school libertarian, where you should just let people be who they are and not shame them for who they are, just long as it's not hurting others. That's literally been my mindset ever since I was a kid and since I can remember, really. So I've always had that mentality in me. So I just basically wanted to kind of share my experience of what I've seen on social media and also on YouTube and kind of like in documentaries that I've just watched. So there's almost in America, because I watch a lot of American shows and a lot of American YouTuber-esque stuff, I'm more, the people that I watch on YouTube 9 times out of 10 will be American, so I don't know a lot of British culture when it comes to different political sides. I know more American stuff, so I'm going to talk about that because it's what I know. I've noticed that there's 2 kinds of liberals now and 2 kinds of conservatives. There is the stereotype of a conservative, what people think of, who is more moderate now, and very much like what we've just seen, me and my mom on the video in the documentary, where there is that old school traditional conservative that is pretty much racist, sexist and homophobic because they're now in a more progressive time and they prefer their time. even though they might not want to be called that, they are really that, because the beliefs that they hold is very racist, misogynist, homophobic. Like, literally, the documentary that we watched, all of the guys that were in there, like, I think there was one woman, so I think it showed about 4 main YouTubers. One of them was a woman, 3 of them were guys. And like I say, they were very, very, very the stereotype of the old school mindset conservative, where, like, they want Americans to rule over other countries. They want it to be them in power more than the other countries, and they want to put America first, which is not a terrible thing itself, but when you put other countries down, again, that's like causing harm or wanting harm to be caused. So that's kind of what I have a problem with. So they believed in that. A lot of the guys in there, like I say, there was 3, believed in basically that different races shouldn't get married and have kids, and then mixed race kids are just like unhinged. But then they didn't want to be called racist, so they kept saying, you know, I'm not a Nazi, I'm not racist. But then you found out that they were, because they would say things like that. Or they would say, you know, I'm not sexist, I'm not a misogynist. But then there was one guy in particular, at the end of the video, he basically commented on this YouTube channel who was a woman. It was one of the people that were being shown who was a woman. He was basically saying that he was going to go out and rape her and literally give her an STD. And I'm just like, that is literally the embodiment of sexism. So it just made me laugh, because like I say, I was almost expecting it, because from that old traditional mindset, no matter what they say, that kind of conservative is racist, sexist, and homophobic, like, no doubt in my mind. So there's that kind of conservative who is stuck in the past and who doesn't really talk to people or want to talk to people that aren't like them. But then there is more of a moderate conservative who almost have the old school liberal mindset of, you know, let's let people be who they are. Let's not be as homophobic, as sexist, as racist. And so that we can have more of a positive mindset to invite people into the conversation. They want to have conversation. They want to basically not be seen as these so-or-so things. And for the most part, they don't actually have anything against race, you know, sexuality and sex itself. But they still have that old classic conservative mindset. They're just not hateful with it, and it's not as strong. That's something that I personally see myself, and on YouTube, and also whenever I've been shown kind of like filmed videos of incidences. So yeah, so that's the 2 kinds of conservatives, and then there's 2 kinds of liberals. So the 2 kinds of liberals are the old school libertarian, the one that I feel mostly connected to, and the one that I feel like if I had to be on a party, or if I had to be labelled as, you know, what side are you on, I would say 100% that I was an old school libertarian. So there is that, where it's literally do no harm to others, let people be who they are as they're born, as long as they're not doing harm. You know, to me, that should be how people should act. As long as no one's doing harm, let people be, act, and say what they want. But obviously everyone's not like that, and I respect that. But that's just the way I think and feel. But then there is a moderate kind of like today libertarian in America, where it's almost like the old conservative mindset, but then they change what they say and what they believe to make it for the people instead of against the people. So I've definitely seen kind of this new fad where there is this thing about victimizing white people or pale skinned people. I've not seen it to the extent of what other people who are far right will say. They often do exaggerate it, but I've seen some examples of that becoming popular. So I think what's going to happen is probably in about 5 or 10 years, it will become the norm for white people or pale skinned people to be almost the victim and to be the one that is looked down upon. I'm not saying that it's going to be a definite, that's just what I think, because of the few things that I've seen and how people react. So they almost have the same approach with kind of like racist beliefs, sexist beliefs, funny enough, and kind of like alternative sexuality beliefs. So I've heard a lot of very like modern libertarians say, you know, I am a Z and a Zer and I'm this made up gender and this made up pronoun, which they are. You know, it's not hard to, for me, it's not hard to recognize that almost all of them are made up, but then they want to force us, the people that aren't in the woke circle, to kind of like pretend that this is a normal thing, which to me is just crazy. To me, it's like that, where the old school conservatives will be like, you know, we have to uphold conservatism and we have to conserve two-parent household traditional marriage and we have to make sure that God is in the mix. It has that same energy to genders and pronouns, but it's labeled for the right of people and for trans people. But every trans person that I've met on YouTube has said, you know, they are the complete opposite of what we want. We very much believe in just two genders, man and woman, but we just feel like we were born into the wrong one, so then we transition from one to the other. We're non-binary and gender fluid. Either want to get rid of just two, or they want to live in between the two, which to me is just crazy and just anti-science, and to most people it is. So them two have that same energy, but just different talking points. And with race, as I've just said, I have started to recognise, like I say, in England, it's not as popular with that with in America, but in England, I have started to notice that there is this almost pale skin / white hatred for just literally having that skin colour, when for the most part, then people haven't done anything wrong to that particular person. Um, which is obviously something that the Conservatives did the other way around. They would say that, we are inferior, we are more important than blacks. So again, very similar. And then very much like how the typical Conservative talking point is that they are outwardly homophobic, but they like tiptoe because they don't want to be called that. On the modern libertarian side, they actually have quite a negative opinion that for people that aren't trans and also aren't these made up genders and people that aren't straight. Like, I've noticed that so many times and it infuriates me because it makes normal gay guys like me look crazy and look very close-minded when, you know, years ago, we didn't want any special rights. We didn't want people to see us as crazy. We wanted to fit in. Where now it is very clear that the modern people of today in the LGBT community want either special rights or they want to make, or they've got some kind of superior complex where they want to be teachers of these alternative sexualities and genders that them created themselves. So again, that's like a sexuality war that is very similar to the traditional conservative mindset. And also, so traditional conservative mindset is that they are also sexist to women. In the LGBT community, there is actually quite a high kind of sexist mindset towards lesbian and bi women. I would say also bi men, but it is mostly the women. And the reason why I say that is because I've watched a lot of lesbian YouTubers who have always kind of complained about that. And then I've seen a lot of detransition stories, basically people who transitioned from one sex to the other and then they went to the one that they were born with because they just changed their mind. They didn't feel like they made the right decision. A lot of the detransition stories is mostly, not all, but mostly bi females or lesbian females who said that they experienced misogyny throughout their whole life. Again, this is more in America than here. And they went through trauma in their life. So whether it was rape, sexual abuse, they saw a family member or a friend get killed right in front of them. Just something that is so unbelievably scarring emotionally and internally that it just affected them. Then people telling them and for them to feel like they should transition, they were told that it would fix that, but it didn't, and that's why they returned back. And loads of them were, like I say, by women and lesbians saying that, you know, that they had incidences and a lot of negative influences with being a woman, that they were just told, or yeah, pretty much told, I'm not going to beat around the bush, they were told that if they transitioned to a guy and be trans, that they would be more accepted socially. And if you look at the data of today, that is very much a true thing. That is very much like trans has become the new bisexual about 10 years ago when I was kind of growing up, and also the new emo. Obviously, that's not to say that trans people don't exist, because they very much do. There are loads of trans people who transition, they feel it in their bones, and they're very happy with their life. And they will be the first ones to tell you that the gender fluids and the non-binaries isn't us. So, so this is just something that I wanted to mention, that I've noticed so much in America, that the left-wingers of today are like the old school closed-minded conservatives, and that there's almost this new modern branch of conservatism that is more like the old school libertarian. Like, I am so not a conservative in any way. I would be too unique for them if I was to ever go to like a conservative building or meeting. I think I would be called a weirdo, to be honest, because I'm just, I just am. And I'm proud to be like that, where for the most part they don't tend to be. So I'm not conservative in any way, but I definitely don't call myself a modern libertarian, because like I say, they make us out like we're crazy, and I'm not down for that. So, like I say, I just wanted to tell you about the documentary and tell you about my thoughts. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. And if you have seen anything similar to this documentary, and if you want to share your opinions and thoughts, please comment down below. Love you guys.